Awesome. Good afternoon, parents and families. We are live on Facebook and we are here for our April Seymour Scoop. We thank you for joining us as you do every month as we meet with another resource office on campus so that you can learn information about what their office provides for your students, and you can help us be ambassadors for those resources and share that information so that your students can certainly take advantage of those programs and resources that are available. Again, my name is Ashley Jones and I serve as the coordinator of parent and family programs, also your outreach to the Parent and Family Association. And as always, we are so grateful to have you a part of our Parent and Family Association community, and know that we are here to support you and your student in their transition to college, as well as they are retained through graduation. Today, we have with us Mr. Rusty Anderson, who serves as the Director for Career Services. And he's going to chat with us a little bit today about career services, the programs and services they offer for students, and how we can use you as partners in serving your student within this service. So thank you so much for being with us, Mr. Anderson.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate the opportunity, Ms. Jones. It's always a pleasure to share information with students and parents, hopefully in getting them engaged with the opportunities that we present for them.
Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and get started with today's session. So if you will, we're just going to start off with what Career Services is.
Well, Career Services is a lot of different units. We help students from the time they begin their college career, deciding on a major, exploring career opportunities, trying to help answer that million-dollar question, what I want to be or what can I do with a major in, whatever it is. We also help them find both on-campus part-time jobs, off-campus part-time jobs. Many of our students we know need to work or need to support themselves, so we provide that resource. Through the way, we help them also secure internships and eventually move into that career transition into their senior year by offering activities such as career fairs, on-campus recruiting. We post about 27,000 jobs in our system called Handshake a year. And then we meet with students individually, and we also offer workshops on such things as how to do a professional interview, how to prepare a professional resume, how to research companies. So the whole process from the time they start school to their transition through school, and even we will serve them as an alumnus. So if we have graduates that don't have jobs for whatever reason when they graduate, and a few of them do, then we'll continue to help and serve them as long as they need our resources.
Wonderful. So you guys are certainly busy over there because you've got a lot that you offer students, which is amazing. And I know that at the beginning you mentioned that you assist students with what the million-dollar question is, where do I want to major in? So with that being said, how do you assist students with major and career exploration?
Well, there's a lot of different ways. A lot of times what I sense is that students don't have enough information. Many students don't know what there is to do, and their knowledge about what is done in careers is somewhat limited. So there's several approaches that we can have. Of course, we can do one-on-one sessions with students to help them identify what we call occupational personalities, their skills, what they want back from a job, and then show them the various majors and various careers that tend to fit that. We also have some assessments that students could take. One is an online assessment called Focus 2, where they can gather their interest, and it will show them various career paths that their interests seem to fit, that they might enjoy doing over the long haul. We also have the Strong Interest Assessment, which is a little bit more sophisticated. It's a little bit more thorough, where it actually compares their interests to those people employed in many different career fields. And so really what we do is we provide information for students to be good decision makers. We help them identify the choice that needs to be made, provide good options, and give them resources, online resources to help them go read about some of these jobs, weigh the pros and cons, so that when they make a choice, they can make a good decision rather than, grandma or aunt saying, "Oh, I think you should be a nurse. You'll be a good nurse." Well, that's great, but if they don't enjoy being a nurse, they probably won't do it or won't enjoy the courses. So we have those conversations. We provide a lot of information for students to allow them to make good decisions based on really more of a logical analysis of who they are and where that might plug into the career world.
Wonderful. So thinking about students who are currently still enrolled and are looking for employment, how do you assist students find employment, whether on or off campus?
That's a really good question. And a lot of our students don't know that we do help students find part-time jobs. A lot of times students just see us, oh, those are the job placement people. They'll help you get a resume and help you get a job. But during the process, we have a program on our campus called Job Location Development. And that is really focused on helping students to find jobs in the Hattiesburg community. The Hattiesburg community is very good about hiring our students. We have, I think Jasmine told me the other day, 250 part-time jobs off campus out there. And there are signs all up and down Hardy Street. So students could come in here and meet with Jasmine Coleman Miller and have one-on-one session and talk about, here's what I'm looking for. Can you help me, walk through the steps of how to secure this job? How does one go about applying? What should I expect when I go for a meeting or interview? And then for on-campus jobs, the same way, we will help students to identify potential jobs on campus. Now, the reality is, in many cases, we have more people looking for campus jobs and campus jobs, but we can walk them through some of the employers that have the most job opportunities on campus, talk about the application process, and even some of the strategies to give themselves the edge. For example, show up with a resume, follow up with a thank you note if somebody meets with you or interviews you. The small things that sometimes can help set them apart in that job search. All of our jobs, Ms. Jones, are posted in what we call Handshake. Every student has a Handshake account. They just log in with their SOAR credentials, and they'll be able to see all of our part-time jobs, both on campus and off campus jobs. So they have the information at their fingertips, but if they need help, that's what we're here for. And we'd love to help the students who need to find a job, that are struggling with finding a job.
That's very helpful. And I can attest to that as well. You know, we offer students an on-campus job in our office. We have several student worker positions. And often when I'm meeting with students for academic coaching sessions, that's one of the things that they talk about, is not knowing how to find on-campus jobs. And so we're advocating for Handshake, and it's an extremely useful tool. So families, I do certainly encourage you to share that with your students so that they will know where to go to look for on and off-campus jobs. So.
Thank you for that endorsement.
What was that?
I said, thank you for that endorsement.
Yes, you're welcome. Some marketing over here.
There we go.
I know earlier you mentioned that you guys do host career fairs. Can you talk a little bit about those and how often those are hosted?
Absolutely. That's one of our key programs every semester. And we encourage students beginning their freshman year. And I know a lot of you may think, why would a freshman go to a career fair? Well, we want students to experience the atmosphere. We want students to go and meet with employers and ask, I'm a freshman, and what should I do over the course of the next 2 to 3 years in order to build my resume to be seriously considered for a company like yours? And they also learn to talk about themselves professionally, and they start meeting people. So if they go in the fall and in the spring, they start building rapport with some of our recruiters. But to answer your question, now that I sort of said why they should go, we do host one major career fair in the fall and one in the spring. This past year, all of our career fairs were virtual, and we had them spread out over several days. But we have one set up towards the third week of October this year, and we'll be bringing people into campus, and we'll also be exploring alternate virtual opportunities for students who can't necessarily come to campus, who might not be on campus. And then we do teacher job fairs. We do one of those in the fall, one of those in the spring. The nursing college hosts their own nursing fair, in which we support and try to encourage employers to go. And we also host a good number of other career events. We have the Southern Alliance Career Fair coming up in June. So if you have a senior student who doesn't have a job after graduation, they should plug into that Southern Alliance. Those are all Conference USA schools that have gotten together to try to get students, and a massive number of students, to all of these various employers who are coming in. And in Handshake, there is just a whole list of events. We have a diversity career fair. We have companies that offer events, recruiting events, et cetera. So our primarily fairs would be career and internship fair in the fall and spring, teacher job fair fall and spring.
Wonderful. I have certainly, I've gone to those as a student, and then as a staff, I've assisted in volunteering for those events, and they are phenomenal. And students have certainly been able to use those as benefits in finding careers after graduation. So
And as parents, if you can encourage your students to go to those, we
Mhm,
typically before COVID, we'd have close to 100 companies there. And these
mhm,
companies come from all over the country, a majority in the Southeast, but they do represent national companies.
right.
And so this is a really good opportunity for students to start building their network and getting familiar with organizations that potentially could hire them one day, and to connect for internship opportunities. A lot of these companies are looking for internships.
Mhm. And so students can attend the career fairs for internship opportunities. What other ways can students utilize career services for opportunities to seeking internships?
Well, definitely, again, we have the Center for Pathway Experiences headed up by Miss Paige Jones, and she's the program director. So she can talk to students about internship processes. Career Services also helps with internship search. We post oh my goodness, over 1,000 internships in
Wow.
Handshake a year. So students can go in there and just as a reminder, they can come meet with us and talk about that job search process. I'm interested in
Mhm.
an internship with C Spire or KPMG or Centos or whoever it is. How can I make sure my application's fully vetted? How can I make sure my resume is competitive? So yeah, we'll assist them in that walk also. But again, the postings of internships starting early. If you're looking for a summer internship, the fall semester prior to the summer is when you start looking. If you're
Right.
looking in April and May, you're really very, very late in the process. A lot of companies now look at least 6 months ahead of the time.
Mhm. So for those students who are graduating, so our graduating seniors, they are preparing to walk across the stage, but they're coming back to school. How does Career Services assist students in graduate school preparation?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we encourage them to work with their faculty, one, because those faculty members are very, very good mentors. But then we're going to support that process. We're going to support that process by helping them establish strong credentials. For example, a business resume is going to look different than one for graduate school. Graduate school is going to be more a little bit along the lines of a curriculum vitae, where they're listing a little bit more about their topics that they presented or researched, any presentations. It's a longer document. So we want to make sure that they've included all of the relevant information for a graduate or professional school to be
Right.
considered. And again, we'll help them with their interview, what to expect, what kind of questions might grad schools ask. I will let you know, Ms. Jones, that I work with the pre-professional students, those OT, PT, who go and do what we call MMIs, or mini multiple interviews. And I will actually host sessions with them in my office and walk them through what that is, prepare them, and then we do a round robin day traditionally where they can practice. And here's what MMIs are for parents that may not be familiar with that. They are a series of questions that students go through. So they walk up to a room and they see a question. It's a scenario, it's a situation. They have 2 minutes to think about how they would handle that situation. They walk into a room and they have 6 minutes to discuss that situation with an employer. Trust me on this. If you haven't prepared for that, that is not easy to do.
It doesn't
And
sound like
so
it.
we walk them through how to analyze the question, how to come up with different opportunities, different scenarios, and then how to come up with a final solution to support your solution, and then say why you didn't choose the other areas. It
Mm,
allows for a very strong presentation, allows them to learn to stretch it out and not be done in a minute. And it
right.
allows them to really think. So having just experienced that in what we might call a mock program
Mhm.
will really enhance them when they get to the real thing. Even if it's not exactly the same thing, just having them talk and go through it in a simulation is very, very helpful. So those are some of the ways that we help graduate schools. We have been known to read personal statements, but
Mhm.
again, faculty members tend to be the experts in being able to
Right.
advise students on how to develop that personal statement and actually review that personal statement.
Wonderful. I had no idea about that. And I think I had a little bit of a heart palpitation a little bit thinking about how I would respond in those situations, but that is certainly helpful and will prepare you none other for those situations, which is exactly what they need. That's phenomenal. So glad to know about that now.
Well, I'm glad. And I've had some students that didn't get in the first time and they said, they said the communication, the presentation, and they were successful, not necessarily anything that I did, but just the fact that they understood the process better and did a little bit more preparation. Simple things like recalling stories in your past that you might share during the session that relates to the situation is very, very good, but a lot of students don't know to do that.
That's true. That is true. So just understanding the little bit of perspectives of this is what you could do to make your presentation just a little bit better, to make it stand out a little bit more. That's wonderful. So when we're thinking about students and their desire for careers, sometimes we know that their desire for whatever it is that they want to study, their discipline or, work in, differs a little bit from that of their families. How do you advise families support their students when they disagree on a student's particular career choice?
And this has happened more than one time. Trust me, I've been doing this about 40 years now. I started when I was 2, so I'm 42 years old. But this has happened frequently, that the parents have one idea about a student, what they should do. The student has another thing. And what I encourage them to do is to sit down and do the research in the literature. To look at the job, to look at the job task. And I know the parents' concern, because I've been a parent of college students myself, is our concern is we want them to get out and make a lot of money. We want them to have a good living. We don't want them to move back home, right? We want them to go and flourish. And I get that. But we also want our children to find jobs that are meaningful and rewarding. And so I help them sit down and try to look at the research, look at the literature, look at the salaries, look at the salary ranges, because some of our majors, let's be honest, because there's competition for jobs, it tends to keep the salaries low initially. But once a graduate succeeds in the field and moves up, then their salaries are as competitive as the private, other careers. And so we talk about those types of things. Again, I don't want to insult anybody on here, Ms. Jones, but a lot of parents don't know what's involved in a lot of jobs either. They don't know the career succession ladder. So I would encourage them to have those conversations. I would encourage them to ask good questions. What kind of tasks would you be doing in this job? And why is that of interest to you? What are your interests? What are your skill sets here? And how are you going about making sure you have all the skills so that you are employable when you graduate? Because we know just having a degree is not a ticket into a job. It's a ticket to do the job search with a credential of that nature. And so we have to make sure that whatever they go into, they're best prepared for it. We need to make sure they're doing internships. If you're going into public relations, you're going into graphics, you're going into marketing, you got to have an internship that's going to give you the jump start into a career. But I think that in the bottom line, thinking that a graduate's going to work anywhere from 30 to 45 years in the workforce, it needs to really be something they enjoy doing, because they're going to probably stay with it longer and not be job hopping as much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's more than just about the money. There has to be some passion and desire behind that as well. I completely agree. And you've mentioned this previously. And so can you talk a little bit more about the career resources that students can utilize anywhere and anytime?
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to try to share my screen, Ashley. We're going to see how this works. All right, here we go. This is the Career Services website. So it's www.usm.edu/ you can do either career-services, or you can just simply say /CS for career services. And what I would suggest or encourage all of our parents to do is to go in and play around with our online resources. I'm going to look ahead on one of your questions, and you are going to ask, how do you schedule an appointment? Right here. Yes. Students can click on here. It's your virtual process. It puts somebody on a calendar, mine and the other career counseling staff. But we're going to go to online resources here real quickly, and you're going to see a whole variety of resources. You're going to see our career guide that we publish annually. In that career guide, you're going to have a 4-year plan. The students, what they need to do their freshman year, their sophomore year, junior year, senior year. And it will talk about getting experience, volunteering, shadowing, getting leadership. You want a guide to what you need to maybe be encouraging and asking your students about. The career guide gives you that 4-year plan. It also gives you sample resumes, cover letters, job seeking strategies, and some of our other resources. You'll see Handshake. That's where we post all of our jobs. Here's Focus 2, which is the online system. And if your student needs to use Focus 2, they can just use lowercase USM 500 as their code that allows them free access to it. And then you have things like, what can I do with a major in? And again, we talked about that just a little bit. And what can I do with a major in allows you and allows a student to go in here and look at what they can do with the major or career that they want to pursue. And it will break it down into areas. You can see jobs within the areas. You can see the employers in those jobs, as well as strategies. So as you're thinking with your student, how do you prepare for this job? If that's what you want to do, let's go look at the strategies here. Write for the campus newspaper, submit blogs, become familiar with the process of freelancing if that's what they want to do. But just make sure that they understand the skills. And you can see, I'm not going to spend time in all of these, but there's a lot of things that English majors can do besides teach and go to graduate school, right?
Right.
All right. And those are what we call transferable skills. And if a student gets a degree in English, all of these careers are possibilities for them. Of course, law would require law school, but there's a lot of overlap in what students get to do. The last resource I want to show Ms. Jones on here is maybe Career Shift. And that's where you and your student could really go in perhaps. And I'm sorry, not Career Shift. I went to the wrong thing here. ONET. Career Shift is a job search aggregate that will allow them to pull up jobs. And so let's do psychologist, and ONET will bring up the related fields to that area. Let's say your student wants to do marriage and family. We click on that and you'll see that it tells you basically what they do. And then we get into 15 tasks that they might be engaged in. Now, remember earlier when I talked about career choice, one of the first things I ask students is, why do you want to do that? And many of them can't tell me why they want to do it. So here's their answer. Here's what you're going to do as a marriage and family therapist. You can also scan down and see some of the knowledge and skills that are required to perform this job. And we have to ask that student, are those skills you want to use day to day? Are those things you enjoy doing? And if they say, no, it's not, this is probably not the best choice. So these online resources are available 24/7 throughout, all the time. And then we support those resources and we meet with students to help decipher some of those opportunities. The big interview allows them to record themselves practicing interviews.
Wonderful.
And, there's just a lot of resources there that I think are very, very valuable for students. And it may be that parents would want to go in and investigate what your student's getting into so that you have a better understanding. And that might also resolve some of those concerns that you have about what they're doing and why they're doing it. Because if they've chosen correctly and if it's a good fit, you'll see that right away that, yeah, that just sounds like something you were made to do, that you should be doing.
Absolutely. That was very helpful. Even for myself, I can see myself using those in my academic coaching appointments. And very often we have a shift in thinking, especially after the student's first semester or their second or first full year. They begin to kind of question if this is something that they still want to do based on the classes that they're in, based on those grades, especially around interim time. It's like, hey, I thought I wanted to be a nurse, but honestly, this math and science course is not going well, and I don't have an interest in that. And so these are some tools and resources that we can use so that the student can kind of get a different perspective and see where their gifts and talents and natural abilities lie. We use something called Lassie, and then we also use Strengths Quest, the Clifton Strengths Quest. And so these are all other tools and resources that we will certainly advocate. And I do hope families will also use these as well in their communication with their students, to use these resources so that their student can pinpoint exactly where their niche is. That was very helpful.
When we show students, almost without an exception, they'll say, oh, I wished I'd known. I'm glad to know this is here. This is very helpful. So, sometimes they don't know what they don't know. So as parents, we need to share what they need to know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one thing I know with students is that, especially when they are freshman and sophomore, but honestly, throughout the entire collegiate career, they're always going to their parents, they're always going to their family. They question some things and then they speak with their friends, but at the end of the day, they're picking up that phone like, Mom, I don't know what to do, or I don't know. They still want that advice, they want that guidance. And so that's why it's so important for families to know that these resources are available, so that when they do get that phone call of, I'm frustrated, I don't know what to do, they can step in and say, hey, have you checked out this resource, or have you done this? Because they're still your children. At the end of the day, they may be in college, they may be adults, but they're still your children, and they will still call and need some type of parental advice and guidance. And so it's so important for you guys to have these tools and resources to help us as partners to share with those students. So we just thank you for being partners in your students' success.
Absolutely.
And so you talked about how students can schedule an appointment to meet with you guys on the website. As we're talking about families and their roles, can you give us a little general overview, as you've spoken before, about what role parents and families play in their students' career development?
I think they play a big role. And I think as the parent of a college student, the importance of asking good questions to your students, seeing if they have good answers. And if they don't have answers, then encourage them to use some of these resources to explore and come up with answers. In other words, I want to be a nurse. Well, why do you want to be a nurse? What particular interests you? Well, here's what they'll say. I like helping people. Well, that's not why you want to be a nurse. It's the result of why you're a nurse. But what are you going to do as a nurse day to day? So asking those good questions, encouraging them to explore, provide shadowing opportunities. Most of our parents are going to know people, for example, in the healthcare. Set up a shadowing experience. Well, I know somebody that's a nurse. Why don't you go meet with them and talk to them about what they do, and then see if that's really something that you want to do or what they're involved in. And the encouragement of just having the discussions about future career plans. What are you doing in college to prepare yourself? Let's take a look at your resume. Are there any gaps here? Are you getting involved in leadership positions? Are you, thriving academically? If you want to go into speech pathology, you're going to have to go to grad school, and the realization that competition for that program is excessively difficult. Absolutely. And we need to have those conversations early on and say, hey, here's the bar that we got to work. Let's see where we want to go. So I think just having those career conversations and not just assuming that takes place naturally, because it doesn't.
Right.
It takes place, in chit chats and chat rooms and things of that nature. But, really just sort of helping navigate your student to understand how that decision was made, and having enough information to affirm the decision at some point, I think is very important.
Wonderful. I completely agree. It's all about being intentional. We hosted a virtual Southern Miss Family Bake Off a couple of weeks ago, and that was a time that we hope that students will spend with their families in communicating about school, communicating about their interests and their activities. So it's always about creating those opportunities for intentional conversations. And so we hope that families did that during that weekend, but we'll continue those conversations more frequently as well. So.
Absolutely. Christmas breaks, summer breaks, spring break, maybe not. They have other plans, but, there are times where they're not in classes where they're going to have a little bit more leeway in meeting people and talking to people, whether it's relatives or friends or people in our community, or maybe people in religious groups that we belong with, et cetera. There's all sorts of people that are very willing to share information, and that really helps students make good decisions when they can gather that information and assimilate. But I like that being intentional statement you just made there. Great. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thank you. So the very last thing we have is just so that students will know how to reach you. So where are you located, and how can students reach your office and your offices and your various initiatives within your office?
Okay, well, we're located in Macklemore Hall. We affectionately call it the ugly green building on the corner of the campus. We're right across from the little pond, and we're open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Students can schedule virtually on our website, or they can call the office, and our front office staff can take care of them there. So I forget the rest of your question there. Where are we on campus, and how can students reach you? 601-266-4153 is our phone number, or they can go through our website and see who we are. They'll see the personnel directory there, and there's emails and numbers in there also. And we'd love to help your students. You know, I have a passion for mentoring, and that's why I've been doing this, and I never have to go to work. So the opportunity to work with your student is an honor for me and much coveted, because I really enjoy mentoring and helping students and seeing them succeed.
Yes, I can completely agree to that. I can attest to that statement as being 100% true. I was a student at Southern Miss, and I utilized career services, and everyone knew the name Mr. Rusty Anderson. And even when I graduated and I started working at Southern Miss, you still know the name Mr. Rusty Anderson. He's very helpful and truly passionate about what he does. And we used to be in the ugly green building. Our office recently moved. We were upstairs on second floor. So they're like our neighbors. They were our family, our neighbors. And so we miss our neighbors. We are now in Cook Library. So we're no longer just right upstairs from them. But we can attest to being in that ugly green building with them. But we do hope that families will utilize career services as a resource for their students. I will be sharing their contact information and location on the description of this video, so that you can feel free to use that and share it, screenshot it, send it to your student, and come back and look at the video. This video will be staying on our Facebook page in our video section. So if you weren't able to join us at the very beginning of this video, no worries. You'll be able to rewind and watch it from the very beginning. As always, please reach out to us if you need anything as your parent and family association. We are located in Cook Library, room 138. We're on the first floor at the very back of the building. I always tell students that when you come to get your Starbucks, don't stop there. Just keep going straight back and you'll see us at the very back of the building. We have a beautiful living room area set up out there with the sofa. That's our office. And so certainly stop by. Families, if you need to reach us, you certainly can do so via phone and email. Our phone number is 601-266-6405, and you can reach us by email at parentsandfamily@usm.edu, and that is parents with an S and family@usm.edu. There's one additional announcement that I would like to make, is that we are going to host our first virtual family office hours on Monday, April 19th at 5 p.m. And so this is an opportunity for families to join us at 5 o'clock on Zoom, just for an opportunity to discuss, get questions answered, and hear whatever it is that you need help with. I'm here for you. And so this will be our first session, but these will continue throughout the year. So we'll certainly go full-fledged with these in the fall. And so it's like a little lounge hour for families to come and join me on Zoom. If there are questions that you have about the summer, if you're an incoming family, I do know that we often have incoming families having questions. You can do that if you have questions about orientation or the fall semester and kind of what that looks like, or move out, whatever it is that you need help with. We hope that you'll join us Monday at 5 o'clock for our virtual office hours. That information did go out in our parent and family e-newsletter that does go out every month. So the April newsletter provided information about the family hour, but it will also be shared on Facebook and Instagram. So I hope to see you on Monday. And if you are not receiving the parent and family e-newsletters, please sign up for that. You can find the link for that on our webpage, which is usm.edu/student-success. We're on the Student Success webpage, and you'll be able to sign up for the Parent and Family Association. It is free, and every family that signs up receives monthly e-newsletters of information of things that are happening on campus, programs and resources, not just for you, but also for your student, so that you can share them with your student, and not just of campus, but even things that are happening in the Hattiesburg community. We do hope that you enjoyed today's Seymour Scoop. Mr. Anderson, are there any last minute announcements or programs that your office is hosting that you'd like to share?
Just connect your students with career services, and we'll take it from there. How's that?
Awesome.
And thank you for the opportunity. I'm honored to get to speak to the parents.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us. And as always, parents, we will end and our wonderful Southern Miss slogan, which is Southern Miss
to the top.
Thanks, families. Have a great day.